Malik, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you? Very good.
Good, good. Congratulations on, After the Hunt.
Thank
I,
you.
s- I saw it last night. It's an
You
amazing
did.
film. This was your first feature film back in like 20 plus years. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes. Absolutely.
What was that like to finally get back into shooting feature films?
It took a couple days, to get used to the rhythm again, but it's a
Uh-huh.
rhythm thing. And then once we got back in the rhythm, we were back at it. It's like, like doing something you've done before that you've done enough to I guess have reached flow state doing
Mhm.
it. So then by the time we got back going, I was like, oh yeah, we've done this.
I missed this, right? I missed
Yes,
this.
absolutely.
Do you mind if I ask why you took such a long hiatus from getting back into feature film?
The thing is there was, with film, we give a lot of our life.
Mhm.
Anybody who makes a film, you're giving your life for the film to live because the film is inert. It doesn't have life until we give it our life, which also requires, sacrifice as well, both of ourselves. And it's one thing when we're by ourselves, but then, I have had young kids, family, and
Mhm.
I had done a pilot with Spike. When my daughter was like 5. We did a pilot with John Boyega, and
Oh wow.
John Ridley was executive producer on it. I was gone for a few months, and then when I got back and saw my daughter, it was interesting her reaction. It was like she was kind of ghosted me a bit, you know what I mean?
Mm.
And
Yeah.
and she was 5 years old. And I was like, this is quite sophisticated for a 5 year old. What it was like her organic reaction to me being gone
Right.
so long.
Right.
Like she just didn't have space for me. And it wasn't gonna, you weren't, and she was like, you're not gonna get that back immediately. And I
Mm.
was like, yeah, I wanted to be present, more for my children. So I just decided, if and when it happens, it will be organic and I'll know.
Right.
And so certain boxes had to be checked, and it just happened to be that this was the time, and I got several cues that let me know that the time was good and the time was right for now. And so yeah, I did it. This and with this, when I read, it was basically the script and the fact that Luca asked me that to
Hmm.
do it, and the script checked the box, and then the fact that it was with Luca checked the box, and I asked a couple friends what they thought, and they were like, "Man," so I was like, okay,
Right. They
yeah,
said it was time. It was
yeah,
time.
exactly.
Well, welcome back, man. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Now, as a cinematographer or DP, it is ultimately your job to bring the visual of the story to life. Where do you begin when dealing with such heavy subject matter?
I mean, heavy is relative,
Hmm.
it's life. And I am more interested in the things that don't get discussed and are hidden and
Hmm.
um, pursuing truth is, I guess, heavy is relative how much you are interested and willing to carry. And for me, this just was, like I said, I chose this script
Hmm.
because of what it had to say, and what it was trying to, ideas it was trying to introduce,
Hmm.
and for us to think about and discuss. So yeah, yeah, it to me it was just it felt light actually.
Okay.
It felt right to be
Hmm.
in space.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, the film brings together a powerhouse cast. What were your thoughts or ideas of setting the visual tone for balancing Julia Roberts with Io Debris as well as Andrew Garfield?
So funny. I mean, the actors are weighty and big, but at a certain point, like I said, we're focused on character, right? And what's important in terms of relationship with and between them. So, as I mentioned before, I think what happens is that we become like almost like Malcolm Gladwell calls it like momentary autism, when you're so focused on the moment that you're in that you really can't think outside of that.
Hmm.
The idea that it's Julia and Io and it's Andrew, I was able to lose that because we're so focused on character and what's happening moment to moment in each scene that I think I used all of my energy points doing that I didn't have time to think about like who it was other than being fully respectful
Right.
to who they are as artists.
Hmm.
And yeah, for us, it became about what's the most important, what are the nuggets, as they say, of the scene, of the moment, and what are we going for emotionally? I mean, I am a student. I realized this after I uh, saw an interview or read where Bresson talked about this thing that he's interested in filmmaking, which is he's only interested in he only works towards having the scene elicit an emotion in you.
Mm.
He's not really cerebral about it. He's trying to get you to feel like something.
Right.
When I read that and heard that, I was like, oh my God, it's like that epiphany when you read
Mm.
it, something gets crystallized and articulated with something that's deep in your being, in my being, and I knew that that's what I did. This is what we, Hype and myself, always tried to do is to make the visual feel like the music, or when I work with Spike, make the visual feel like the emotion of the moment that I thought should be communicated. And I think it's an all-encompassing endeavor to do that,
Hmm.
and I try to stay focused and centered like on my what I call chi, if
Right.
it's yeah, it's where it comes from to
Hmm.
to really uh if that's the space and that's the feeling, I'm trying to be expressive in a way that creates and elicits that. So I think within each of these scenes and these moments, I'm trying to be honest about how I'm feeling about it, right? And
Hmm.
and then my conversation with Luke about how we feel about it,
Hmm.
and translate that in the moment, and it takes pretty much all of our effort to do that. I mean, if you know how, making these films is tough and it's hard,
Right.
and it's a lot of moving parts and people, and literally just trying to stay focused. It takes all the energy just to try to do that in each moment.
And I feel like a lot of that translated into the film. You could feel it. You could feel all of the emotion. I would say, like many of the shots to me were like tight and close, almost like claustrophobic to kind of feel the emotion of the character of each character.
Mhm.
And you guys centered and focused in on a lot of the characters and their vulnerabilities at times,
Mhm.
especially when they were going through their interactions and
Mhm.
exchanges. What techniques did you lean on to achieve those shots?
Mhm. I think, well, a lot of that is like proximity,
Hmm.
and positioning of the camera relative to the moment,
Hmm.
which, a good part of that is Luca, but also with me in terms of the depth of field and trying to create a certain kind of intimacy. I mean,
Hmm.
one of my favorite shots, like there's a general macro shot that I like, which is like the camera right behind the head of someone and
Yes.
recorder off. And we didn't do a lot of that there, but there's an intimacy emotionally
Right.
around uh our relationship, the camera's relationship to that person that make us feel like we're in their head.
Yes.
And so um not that we were able to put the camera in that place all the time, but we were trying to get that feeling as well, I think, a bunch. A lot of that comes from, we looked at one of our primary references was Sven Nykvist,
Mm.
and his work on persona and the silence. This is the cinematographer who worked a lot with Ingmar Bergman, and it's
Okay.
relationships of the camera to people individually and the camera to faces, uh, mostly two faces and two heads in the frame at the same time. And
Mm.
we were focused on um, kind of like making sure that, well, using that as a reference in terms of the positioning of people's faces and our being us being intimate with them individually and also with them in their relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also like the POV angle that you guys took. And some of the shots, the camera would pan left or to the right and made it seem like you were in the room and you were
Yes.
watching
Yes.
as things were transpiring. I like that as well.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Um, that and as well as the over the head shots, especially when Julia is laying down, she's got her hands behind
Oh yeah,
her
yeah.
head.
Listen,
And
Miles.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like those shots. Those are interesting, and you don't really see those
Yes.
points of view in a lot of films. So
Yes.
I like the angles that you guys took
Yes.
to make that happen and to bring the visual together.
Yes. There was another one where Io's laying down in the room.
Yes,
Yeah, we were overhead upside down on her, which was
right,
that was great.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty creative to me. I would have never thought to shoot anything like that.
Yeah.
And then to show it both right side up as well as upside down.
Yes. 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 Yes.
How much of your direction comes from Luca, and how much of it is your own vision that you're able to portray on film?
Well, in terms of the framing, that is primarily Luca.
Okay.
In that, when as a cinematographer, we're trained on in many areas
Hmm.
around camera, composition,
Hmm.
lighting, um, movement, etc. Um, but like but depends on the director we work with is where we just have to identify what space we're going to occupy and what the director is asking of me. And and for me personally, I generally like to work with directors that are highly visual.
Hmm.
I've always done my best work with visual directors. Some cinematographers get intimidated by that because they feel like that's their space. That's not me at all. I because with me is we're meeting at a place, a common place from which we'll move forward. You know what I mean?
Right.
And we obviously we recognize symmetrically that we privilege the visual as well. So Lucas is a very visual director, as well as he's an editor. And what
Okay.
he does because he's an editor, and I like to work with directors that are editors as well, are highly involved in the editing process because they're much more um, intimate with understanding what's needed,
Right.
and also framing and covering. So Luca doesn't cover the scene. Like he doesn't shoot wide, a master, and then cover. No, he shoots the edit. Like we sometimes we don't even shoot the whole scene from one position. Most of the time, we're only shooting this up to here, and then we'll never come back to that because we'll in the edit we'll never come back to this angle. He knows
Uh,
that. Yeah.
uh,
So with somebody who's that advocate and that much of a master of the craft, I'm definitely leaning on them because he knows what we're going to use. He knows what he's going to use in the edit.
mhm.
I'm not in the edit. So I'm taking a cue from him in terms of how we're framing it and how we're covering it. And so in terms of coverage and framing, that is mostly Luca, because he knows what he needs in the edit. In terms of like the lenses and how we photograph it, that's it's obviously me and him. I mean, I picked all the the lenses that we tested. We tested several lenses, and then dialed in which ones we liked, and he leaned on me to choose the direction to go in terms of the elements of photography, and also lighting.
Right. I was going to ask what camera systems or lens packages that you guys chose to use, because some of the shots were just really beautiful, and some of them had lens flares, and
Yeah.
I liked what I saw. I liked how you guys put it all together. So I was just curious to know what camera systems you use for this film.
Well, first of all, we shot on film.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yes. So we're already in the photochemical organic space.
Got it.
And then which in this obviously there's only X amount of cameras that exist for us, sound cameras for that exist for us. So we chose to go airy as opposed to Panavision. and we use the Arri ST and LT cameras. Um,
Mm,
but then lensing is, I think, where you'll have a big aesthetic a kind of impact is
hmm.
lensing because even with that we test several lenses and some lenses the lenses make a big difference in terms of the quality of image.
Right.
So, for example, we tested newer lenses, older lenses. The most important thing for us, one of the parameters that Luca wanted to create and adhere to was that he wanted the film to feel like it was shot in the 80s.
Mm,
So we looked for, and we only used equipment that one existed during that time, and two, um, or technologies that only existed during that time, lighting wise. And that's
wow.
and that's all we did. We didn't use anything. So it was so two cinematographers we referenced were Sven Nykvist, which I mentioned,
Right.
1961 to 1972, and then Gordon Willis, 1977 to 1988. So if those technologies didn't exist in that time, we didn't use it. Like for example, LED lights, we didn't use LED lights on this movie. Um, but the lenses we chose are Canon lenses that I really like. They're the Canon K35 lenses, which were lenses that were created in 1976, and they were a lens that was created in the Japanese response to a German
Mm,
Zeiss lens, the Zeiss Super Speeds.
right.
So it's a Japanese version, so it's not exactly a copy. And what it is a few things about the lens. One, they're warmer in general than
Hmm.
Super Speeds, which I love Super Speeds. I own a set of Super Speeds, but they're warmer in general. And then they also there's something about them because the glass is aged and aged beautifully. There's
Hmm.
natural distortion, and the overall quality of the image makes the image feel to me like it has a very organic, almost what I call cooked down look. I mean, like as if you took vegetables and you cooked them down, and the color of the vegetables and the way that things go together now start to blend in
Yeah.
a kind of way. So yeah, so the lenses have that kind of quality, um, and they flare beautifully. Yeah.
No, they really did. Well, Malik, I would love to talk to you more. This is my time. I'm a nerd to learn a lot more of what goes on behind the scenes. So I would love to pick your brain more at some later date. But it was a pleasure speaking with you.
Yeah.
Congratulations again on After the Hunt, and I look forward to all of your new endeavors. I understand you have another new movie that you're potentially working on as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, we
so
just
yeah,
wrapped.
just
Me and Luca just wrapped another movie. Yeah.
okay, yeah. So congratulations on that, man, and keep it going, man. Keep it
All right,
going.
cool. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.